All right, guys, thanks for tuning in. This is NoOne's Watching here. Today's not moto vlog. Today's just normal vlog is going to be about my storage rack system slash target stand that I put on my XT250. I actually modified it myself. It's actually a Caldwell steel shooting target. It's AR 500 steel. These are pretty much all the parts. You have the two legs, you have the stand itself, you have a little bit of hardware that I modified, and then what you have is the actual target that I went and repainted. So we'll go ahead and bring that over here for the video. So pretty much this is everything that I need. Everything that comes with the target, pretty much. Usually it just comes just like that. I upgraded this system with grade 8 steel bolts instead of your standard little really crappy S hooks that they provide. These are actually still in there. And then I also upgraded to a grade 8 steel pin, and then these are for mounting it to the bike. I did lose one of these on my last shoot, so I'll just go ahead and show you how I put it together with what I have here. The actual set didn't really take too much modification. I'm pretty basic at welding. I mean, you can pretty much see right here my welds aren't exactly the prettiest thing on the planet, but I did it with a Harbor Freight welder. Pretty much I don't really have any schooling with how to make stuff. I just kind of do it, and I saw that I had a need to fit that rack onto my bike when I wanted to go ride my motorcycle to go shoot. So that's what I did. I kind of just made it, welded it together. Once again, it is a modified version of the Caldwell 8-inch gong steel target. There are a couple of parts that I upgraded, just like I said, but let's go ahead and slap it onto the bike. The most important thing that I did with this bike is I didn't want to modify the bike at all. I just wanted to make sure that it would fit on there every single time. What it does is it utilizes the rear pegs and this little hole right there. It also utilizes the way that Yamaha designed the rear fairing area there with that little bumper mount and light holder. So let's go ahead and put it together. I'm going to stop the B cam there. But anyways, this is how it goes in. It's kind of weird, but it took me a long time to figure this all out. So you just go ahead and slide that on through, and what that allows you to do, just allows you to get it into this orientation right here. So now that you have the rear hoop in this position, what you can do is you can just go ahead and get it to sit on the rear pegs on either side. As you can see, it kind of just sits up in its normal position. What happens is this hole is going to get some hardware threaded through that hole, and it's going to get bolted there. And then our leg is notched right here. So this part is going to cam and interface with this part right here. And then this rear, the end of the leg, is going to go ahead and get pinned to this little part right here, that little extension. So what we're going to do is we're going to slot that into there. It fits in perfectly, perfect fit. And then we're going to go ahead and slide this up into here, and then grab one of our spring pins, spring pin that on in there, and then we're just going to leave this hardware for now. But now you can see how different it is. This rear hoop, or this rear leg piece, is actually sitting on the peg, distributing the weight onto the peg and onto the rear frame. But when we bolt this in there, it's going to distribute the weight into another point. So we're going to do the same exact thing on the other side. It's just a copy. We have this rear extension right there. We have the front extension. We have a hole to interface with that peg, and we have a notch right here, and just the same thing on the other side. So you're just gonna go ahead and slot this on in there, and then it's gonna slide like that, nice and easy. And that's the reason why you don't pin the other, you don't bolt the other side to the frame of the bike, because you need that little bit of wiggle room to actually get the frame to sit perfectly. So you can see this little amount of wiggle room right there. That's gonna pretty much save you from a lot of trouble. So now we have this setup right here. It's the same on either side, so it's gonna, you can pretty much see how it's sitting right now. A lot of the weight is actually distributed on this fender. I'm gonna change that in another iteration that I go through. But pretty much right now you can see what's going on. I got plenty of clearance on both sides. I have nothing obstructing the rear wheel. And yeah, so that's what it looks like. Let's get a little closer because I know the GoPros are like that. So it gets pinned on either side. And now we just have this remaining hardware right here. And the way that we do it is we have an eye bolt with a washer on it. We have an eye bolt with a washer on it, and this guy feeds through there. I have a metal sleeve that sits in between the frame rack and the peg mounting bracket. So I'll show you what that looks like when it's all put together. So we have that eye bolt, feeds on through there. We go ahead and slot the sleeve onto it, and now we go ahead and push that eye bolt all the way through. We get a washer, put that on the back of there, and we get a nut, and we just tighten that down. And I use an eye bolt because it's still nice to have something to hook other supplies onto, because usually I run with a tripod so I can shoot videos. So usually I run a tripod on there, or I just use my elastic straps to tie down my tripod. And then we have the same supplies on the other side. Just go ahead and feed this through here. Put your spacer through there. And then I'm missing a washer, but you get the picture. Goes on the back of there. So that's what that looks like. Eye bolt, washer, spacer. That's actually just a cut tube. And then on the inside of there, it's threaded with the bolt. So now it's pretty solid. I mean, I just hand tightened it. Usually I'd get a crescent wrench and put it on the back of there, or you know, some sort of open end wrench. And then what I would do is I'd grab my steel target plate, and then I'd go ahead and put it in this orientation. Oh, wrong orientation. In this orientation right here. So that it sits flat, and then the grade 8 hardware is resting along these. So that's what that looks like. The grade 8 hardware sits on the in-between of the the rubber of that plate right there. And then, assuming I had 2 of these, I would go ahead and tuck that under, get it as tight as we can here, and then try to get one of these spring clips on this side. And then close it like that. And I do the same thing on the other side, pulling all the extra slack out and just having it on there. But I don't have another clip because I gotta go to the hardware store. I'm losing stuff left and right, but that's pretty much how it ends up. Yeah, so you just strap that onto there. Anyways, that's kind of how that rack works. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Kind of fumbling for hardware, but you know, that's stuff that you should have extra of. When you do have something like this custom made, or you make it yourself. And then what these racks do is they allow me to put some side saddles on the side. So let me go ahead and grab those. I'll be right back. So now that I have these racks on here, I can just go ahead and toss my saddlebags over, just like that. Tuck it as far back as I can, get it even, and then ideally I'd clip them in, but my clips are ripped because they're kind of crappy quality. But yeah, that's kind of it. That would be my rack. But usually a rack that stores your luggage like this, it would cost about, I think Happy Trails has one for I think like $200, but I wanted something that does two purposes. It is actually a luggage rack and a shooting stand for one of those steel targets, and everything that I need I have ready to go. And then whenever I'm ready to shoot, I just do the exact same thing in reverse. I'll do it a little quicker now since I don't really have, you know, to explain things. So undo both of these, pull this guy off, toss it down, undo the hardware. Of course, these would be actually tight instead of just hand tight. Go ahead and unclip this since I'm here. Do the same thing on the other side. Unhand tighten this thing. Make sure I retain all of my hardware, unlike that. Toss that over there. And then unclip it here. And then go ahead and start taking it apart. And then when I want to go actually shooting, when I actually want to go shooting, this is kind of how you set it up. The legs, the rear hoop feeds into the legs like this. Go ahead and re-grab your spring clips to feed them into the legs. And then these are where these grade 8 steel spring clips would come into play. I usually just thread one into here, toss that into there. And these spring clips are a lot better because they have so much weight on them from that steel plate. And the load is actually going straight down, that it makes a lot more sense. But for the time being, since I'm missing so much stuff because I'm not prepared, so that's pretty much the orientation that it would be in, like that. And then I have these tent spikes that usually go like right around here, that I can go ahead and stake this into the ground if I'm shooting some higher velocity stuff like my T23, because that is an AR 500 steel plate, so it'll take Mosin Nagant, it'll take 308 7mm mag, but usually when I do bring my bike, I'm usually just shooting a 22 because it's lightweight, easy to carry. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Tears down, sets up pretty easily if you have all the right stuff. Once again, I made it myself from a different target stand that I had. Usually the target stand would set up in the same way, just like this, but there'd be a centerpiece right here, and then these two slot together like that, and then the legs were a lot longer. But in order to get it to fit onto there, I had to do some modification. I had to cut and weld some stuff. Some parts had to get donated. All right, guys, but that's pretty much it. If you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns, throw them in the comment box. If you liked it, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, give me a thumbs down. Sorry I wasn't really prepared. I kind of just wanted to go shooting tomorrow, and then I realized, oh shoot, I don't have all the right hardware for this. But anyways, guys, thanks for tuning in and thanks for watching, because you got to remember, no one's watching. Have a great day.